Everyone to stop what they're doing right now and go read. It's literally 2 pages. Go read A Letter to America. And please come back here and just let me know what you think, because I feel like I'm going through like an existential crisis right now, and a lot of people are. So I just need someone else to be feeling this
And
too.
a lot of people
This is
are.
fucking insane. I just read
It's very
Osama
loud.
bin Laden's letter to America, which I will be going through right here, but it's actually so mind fucking to me that terrorism has been sold as this idea to the American people and honestly just so many Western inhabitants within certain nations that this group of people, this
Western inhabitants? Hold on, am I in the screen here? Is my audio on here? Let me make sure about this. Western inhabitants. Okay, that's one way of talking about citizens, but okay.
random group of people just suddenly wakes up one day and just fucking hates you, just wants you dead, wants you gone, and this is all because they believe that they're better than us. Like, that is the root of terrorism.
I'm not going to play a full 3 minutes of this idiocy. It's going to raise a number of questions. Censorship, whether or not reading the words of your self-declared enemies, ideological adversaries, people who are willing to do all sorts of terrible things in the name of, I mean, everyone's the hero in their own story. All of that. We're going to get to some kickers on this because The Guardian recently took down their original publication of Letter to America, drafted allegedly by Osama bin Laden in 2002. They published it in 2002. It's been on the internet 2002, 12, 20, 21 years. Older than many of these idiots. And now all of a sudden The Guardian took it down. I'll show you. I'll play a couple more just because I don't think anybody commenting on TikTok, the Chinese social manipulation app, I don't think any of these buffoons actually read it because I don't think they would agree with everything in it.
It doesn't make sense. They just hate your fucking nation. But reading this letter, it becomes apparent to me that the actions of 9/11 and those acts committed against the USA and its people were all just the buildup of our government failing other nations in majority of these situations.
Oh, we can stop it there. Holy, what did Colin Rugg have to say about this? There's a number of montages going viral themselves. Colin Rugg. First of all, good afternoon, everybody. Colin Rugg, the new latest trend in TikTok is liberal creators promoting and encouraging people to read terrorist Osama bin Laden's, quote, letter to America, end quote. There's nothing, call me controversial, there's nothing wrong with reading it. There's nothing wrong with understanding the thought process of someone who would willingly murder innocent civilians in pursuit of whatever objective they think justified that conduct in the first place. And it's not to say that you can't learn from it and also potentially, you know, Ron Paul, was it Ron Paul or Rand Paul? Ron Paul's moment with Giuliani in the election of whatever year it was. Dave Smith talked about it when he was on the show. You know, you can understand other countries' grievances, even if it means, you know, disagreeing with the method through which they carry out revenge for those purported grievances. Reading Mein Kampf, it's not going to turn you into Hitler. It might allow you to understand the rationale that allowed for an individual to come into power and a society to some extent, support that to greater or lesser degrees, whether or not you want to agree that Hitler was democratically elected or not and usurp power. It might help you to understand this. It's not going to turn you into a demon. Many users appear to sympathize with bin Laden, who was responsible for 9/11. In his letter, bin Laden outlines al-Qaeda's motives behind 9/11. TikTok users have touted the letters as making them question why certain acts of terror could really, including 9/11, are really considered terrorism. We'll finish this just so we read the entire thing. In bin Laden's letter, he justifies the 9/11 attacks where nearly 3,000 Americans were killed due to the U.S. support of Israel, among other things. Bin Laden wrote that the creation of Israel is a crime that must be erased in the letter. I think that's where people stop reading because that's the only current trending aspect of this. They certainly didn't read the part about homosexuality, but I don't believe any of these liberal TikTok influencer idiots have read the entire letter. And I certainly believe that even if they did read the entire letter, they will certainly cherry pick what they think will make them the friends of their enemies. Calling for violence, he added, each and every person whose hands have become polluted in the contribution towards Israel's founding ought to, quote, pay its price and pay for it heavily. The American left, folks. I am more inclined to think that this is actually China's TikTok and not America's left. You're not going to not have stupid people, idiots, loudmouths in a society of 360 million people? The question that people need to be asking here is not why are there idiots in the world? There will always be idiots in the world. There will always be propagandists. There will always be dishonest liars who misrepresent facts, as I think many people who purport to have read the letter are doing. You'll always have idiots who believe nonsense. The question is, how is it that they get such an amplification of their stupidity, their dishonesty, and their lies? How is that? Entereth TikTok. I believe, and it's not really, in as much as I believe China is waging a biological war against America, and no, I'm not just talking about my coronavirus, COVID, originated in a lab in Wuhan, China. Whether or not America had a hand in that, Fauci via third-party NGO, Eco Health Alliance, funding gain-of-function research in a lab in China. Whether or not China, as a reprisal to Trump's presidency, Trump's re-election, willingly, accidentally, whatever, it's one hell of a coincidence, both for China and for Democrats. But set all of that aside. I believe China is waging a biological war against America via fentanyl being smuggled in through the easiest way they can get it into the country. Attacking fighting-aged men, attacking the next generation that, in theory grows up to be the intellectual competitor to China, attacking them, killing them by the hundreds of thousands annually. So I believe that's going on. To the extent I believe that's going on, call me a crazy conspiracy theorist all you want. Do I not also believe that TikTok, the Chinese app, is waging a social media war against America? I do. What the hell? Why is that algorithmically being promoted? The idiots will always exist. Idiots will always have a bullhorn. Typically what happens is when idiots spout off stupidity, people might rubberneck and say, hey, I want to hear what that idiot has to say today. But it doesn't get amplified. It doesn't get what appears to be normalized and promoted unless you're on TikTok. So I genuinely believe that China is waging an all-out, call it a digital war. It's physical when it comes to fentanyl poisoning, but also a digital war to bring about the demise, the collapse of the West, or at the very least, the crippling of the West, so that China can take over in all aspects of commercial warfare and so on. But it doesn't change the underlying story here. Let me see if I can pull this up. I think I brought it up on the... I'm not going to go through the letter. Go read it. If you read that letter and you can't distinguish what would otherwise be legitimate political grievances in the absence of massive acts of terrorism, if you can't distinguish between legitimate political critique and grievances versus vitriolic hatred of specific groups versus active calls to action and a call to violence, if you can't distinguish between those, or you stop reading when it gets to the Israel part because that's the trending topic that everyone's become a master on, if you can't distinguish that, there's very little hope for you, except for life tends to, teach people things if they can live long enough. That was a quote from the Amy Winehouse documentary. It's always stuck with me. Life can teach you a lot of things if you can get far enough into it. It's sort of a variation of Thomas Jefferson? No, who was it that wrote, time makes more converts than reason. Thomas Paine, I'm sorry, that's who it was, Thomas Paine. Time makes more converts than reason. So live long enough, you'll learn. There's a reason why the old expression exists. If you're not a liberal when you're a kid, you have no heart. And if you're not a conservative when you're an adult, you have no brain. So life will teach a lot of these people the lessons, or they'll learn for themselves from their stupidity. The question now remains, however, hold on. Cripe. Don't take my word for it. Let me just get the Guardian, which published the letter to the American people in 2002 and had it up on their website for 21 years, decides to take it down now that it's going viral. What happens when this is censorship. What happens when you actually memory hole what people find to be relevant information in the current time? What happens? People say, oh, well, it must have been totally false, and therefore I can trust by the censorship that the reason why they're censoring it is because it's so stupid and so outlandish that no one needs to read it. That's how dumb it is. Wrong. This is the actual screen grab. If you go to the article where the link where it had been published for 21 years, The Guardian says, removed document. Totally normal. Totally normal. The page previously displayed a document containing, in translation, the full text of Osama bin Laden's, quote, letter to the American people, end quote, as reported in The Observer on Sunday, 24 November 2002. The document, which was published here on the same day, was removed on 15 November, 21 years later. Makes total sense. That's not going to confirm certain people's conspiracy theories. That's not going to legitimize certain people's intolerant ideas by virtue of the fact that now The Guardian has got to take it down. The question would have been, why would they have published it in the first place? That's the first question. There's two aspects of the censorship here. One is not making a decision, not publishing something in real time for reasons which you may or may not disagree with. When it comes to publishing the manifestos, sometimes they have no problem leaking them. They have no problem publishing them of these, these killers when it promotes the narrative that the people want. And then they find a good reason not to publish the manifestos when it runs contrary to narratives. And then the pretext will be, well, we don't publish documents that incite and promote violence. Okay. Had The Guardian said in 2002, November, so we're now a year and some out of 9/11. Had The Guardian said at the time, there's a letter going around purporting to have been written by Osama bin Laden, the mastermind behind 9/11. We're not publishing it because we deem it to be a call to terrorism. Had they said that then, I could have said, okay, well, I think most of us are big boys and we can deal with it, but that's your journalistic editorial discretion, and I may or may not choose to read your publication in the future if you exercise it in a way that runs contrary to my values too often. That would be one thing. They ran it back then. They ran a letter which arguably, but not so arguably, to the extent that they're seeing it as legitimizing terrorism today, they presumably thought it legitimized terrorism back in the day. Why would they have published it then? The Guardian publishing a letter that admonishes, condemns American citizens by virtue of the fact that they purportedly voted for the government which is carrying out atrocities internationally, and therefore they are legitimate military targets. Why would The Guardian have published it back then if that's what they think now, and presumably that's what they thought then? One might think maybe they wanted to sow a little discord, draw a little heat on America. Okay. Why would they take it down now? Like people haven't seen it, screen grabbed it? Like you're gonna erase it from the internet? No. What you're gonna do by taking it down is somewhat exactly like what you did by publishing it in the first place. Sow discord, bring the heat on America, and cause discord in the country ostensibly for the purposes of causing political chaos. You delete things, you censor things, you memory hole things. You do not prove them wrong. You actually legitimize them in the eyes of the people who believe them, and you raise suspicion in the people who might have been middle ground. Anybody wants to go read the actual thing, read the entire document. If you're a member of the 2S LGBTQIA plus community, you're going to have problems with what was written in there, even if you sympathize with what Osama wrote about his grievances against the state of Israel. Go read it, but don't stop reading after one page. And don't listen to these TikTok influencer idiots who are being artificially amplified and promoted on that Chinese app of a website app thing, whatever the hell TikTok is, to sow discord in American politics. That's what it's doing. That's what it's there for. And congratulations if you are on that platform sharing that and thinking that you should be positively influenced by that document. Do I crack the knuckles? How did I just ramble for 14 minutes? That doesn't even make sense to me. I haven't even done the intros. I haven't talked about what's going on yesterday, today. Good afternoon, everybody. I haven't checked if we're live on Rumble. Are we live on Rumble? We are. Good. China controls the algorithm, says Craven. There's no question about that. Controls. It's designed to sow discord. I was listening to The Rock on Rogan. I think it was from The Rock's episode. It might have been from another one where they were talking about how apparently like 14 of the top 15 Christian websites on Facebook are allegedly like Russian troll farm, bot farms, whatever. I don't know. All that I know is that there's a deliberate attempt to sow discord in society, to fracture within allies, to cause what's the word? Infinite division among allies, to the point where you have Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens bickering with one another publicly for the world to see that there's a fracturing even within what were hitherto allies within a fractured world. So I believe absolutely there's an algorithm doing it on purpose, and successfully at that. Oh, Gin Bottle. Thoroughly agree, Viva. Well, I'll say this, Gin Bottle. I also agree with the Gin Bottle. No, it's still too early. Today I'm having a... I'm not gonna do ASMR. No, there's no question. Jin, you agree because it's right, not because I'm right. It's also not my original thought. So, all right, we're live on Rumble. I see my mug there. Good. Let me see this. Okay, I got a little nick under my chin, which seems to be a little bit less noticeable than it was yesterday when I appeared on The Unusual Suspects with Vinny Oceana. Brandon Aceto, Roger Stone, and oh my goodness, the gentleman sitting to my left who reminds me of my brother-in-law is going to be angry that I can't remember his name now. I've become part of a thing at it's on Valuetainment's channel, and it's a gang called The Unusual Suspects, and they have guests that come, and I've been on twice and I love it. I mean, I love Vinny. If you haven't seen Vinny is the man who went apeshit crazy on the guy from the Lincoln Project, the bald guy who was... anyhow, Vinny's awesome. Roger Stone, we did an episode yesterday, The Unusual Suspects. Go check it out. It's amazing. Roger Stone was there. An encyclopedia, the political encyclopedia of the world. And what I've noticed, I'm old enough now to have still remembered what it was like to be a child, both physically and politically and ideologically. I remember when I was a political, ideological child, I remember thinking, Roger Stone must be a bad man because everybody says he's a bad man. Media says he's a liar, he's an enemy, he's a threat. I know Roger Stone now. And as much as, people, everyone has their quirks and their other things. What I think I believe now is that Roger Stone is not, he might be a villain, but he's not the villain for the reasons the media said he was. He's an absolute political encyclopedia. How he ever survived and thrived in the world of politics, I can't understand. Although, as he explains it, back in the day, in the world of politics, there was still an understanding that it's a game. You play, you win some, you lose some. But the game of politics back in the day was not, you win some, and then we come after you, try to lock you up, try to lock up your family, try to steal your assets, try to shut you down, try to ruin your life, try to prevent you from providing for your family. Those were not the rules back then, although JFK might have something to say about that. So I did that yesterday, and it was fantastic. Now, I forget what that was all about. Doesn't matter. Standard disclaimers: no medical advice, no election fortification advice, no legal advice. Ever do not take legal advice from anyone unless they're a mandated attorney in the context of a mandate. Certainly not from internet lawyers, trained and intelligent as they may be. Don't do it. Okay, now are we live on vivabarneslaw.locals.com? We are. Okay, so let's just take a little break here. Deep breath. I actually found a breathing technique on an 8-minute breathing video, which was actually good. Politics has always been a dirty game. Oh, just subbed to The Usual Suspects. Looks interesting. It's fantastic. You will not regret it, but I wanted to bring up this one. Politics has always been a dirty game. You know why? Because politics ruins everything. Now, some people say politics is merely the struggle for power. There is politics within everything. Politics within a law firm, that's not political. Politics within a band, that's not political. Politics is the struggle for power. But politics ruins everything. Everything. It ruins music, science, art, video games. What else? It even ruins politics. And if you want to get your shirt that says politics ruins everything, and we're working on another one. If you want to get your merch, if you want to support the channel, support Viva Fry and Robert Barnes, you can go to vivafry.com and get some good merch. It's just vivafry.com. I bought that domain before I was even anything. I was nothing. Irrelevant. As I continue to be. But okay. If you're new to the channel, we start on YouTube, Rumble, and vivabarneslaw.locals.com. We then end on YouTube because YouTube is not a free speech platform. To go and grace Rumble, the free speech platform, with our eyes, our dollars, and our attention, because that's what That is how you reward companies that do good. That is how you reward countries that do good. With your eyes, with your dollars, and with your feet. And that is how you penalize companies that do not do good and countries that do not do good. You don't spend money there, you don't travel there, and you leave. So in about 10 minutes, we'll go over there. We're going to start with, we're going to do Trudeau. We might be here for another 20 or 25 minutes. We're going to start with, we're going to do Trudeau, Gavin Newsom, and China for sale. Then we're going to go over to Rumble. And it's fitting because people call YouTube CommieTube, and for good reason. Where do we start with this? Do we start with... We start with the socks. I'll take the socks! The socks! All right. Not that. Not that. Not that. Not that. Not that. Justin Trudeau. Here we go. And the oh yeah. This is it. Oh God. Oh no. This is what Trudeau. All right. This is the video that Trudeau publishes because he's a narcissistic sociopath. Canadians and Californians have felt the impacts of climate change and understand the opportunities that come with climate action. Gavin Newsom and I spoke about that and many other priorities today and about how we can keep working together. Good to see you again, my friend, because that's what friends do. Like men, soldiers. Look at this. Oh, give it to him, Trudeau. Slap his back. Oh. That's what Trudeau shares, a 4-second clip. That's not the entirety of the clip. Oh my goodness. I love it. My wife sends me things just because she's been pulled into my algorithm on YouTube. She's like, Dave, have you seen this? And it's like, seen what? The socks? It's like, what do you mean the socks? What did I miss? I was busy yesterday. I didn't catch everything. So that was the 4-second clip. That's what Trudeau, the sociopathic narcissist, wants you to see. Nothing but a man. He gets up there and he smacks Gavin Newsom on the back. The idea of Trudeau touching me like that makes me sick. That's not the full clip if you had any doubts. Here's a longer clip. And if Gavin Newsom was attempting to roast and humiliate Justin Trudeau at the international scale, because, they're both competing for China's attention right now. Maybe Gavin Newsom says, look, President Xi, I'm the man you want to be doing business with. Forget Justin Trudeau. I mean, you've already got your police stations up in Canada. You've already got your soldiers training on Canadian soil. Leave him. Come to me. And to show you why you should do this, I'm going to make Justin Trudeau my BITCH. Look at this, guys. Oh, okay, fine. Sorry.
Handshake.
That's way too loud. Jeez Louise. Okay.
Handshake.
Handshake.
It's good to see you. Good to see you. When did you get in, by the way?
I got in a few hours ago. Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. I was in Vancouver last night.
Well, let me be the first to welcome.
Oh, this is about as natural as saccharin.
You are the first to welcome me.
Quite literally.
What a pleasure to be back. It's always so good to see you. We got a lot to talk about, obviously. Speaking of Golden Gate, I think you gave me these socks last time.
Unbelievable.
Can you imagine this, by the way? When my wife told me there was a socks gaff, I was like, oh, someone like Gavin Newsom brought up the socks. No, Trudeau is still parading around the international community, and his claim to fame, even in his own mind, is his quirky socks. Oh, I believe you got these from me, Gavin. My socks. Let me talk about my socks. When I'm not beating the ever-loving piss out of soldiers who are protesting in front of Parliament, I like to talk about my socks.
Talk about, obviously. Speaking of Golden Gate, I think you gave me these socks last time.
Unbelievable.
So, maybe someone
Still
did.
doing
Anyway.
those socks.
Well, you know what?
What have you ever been caught with black socks on? I mean, is that
That would be just too embarrassing. Listen, so much to talk about on climate, on
handshake.
Can you? Is it conceivable that Justin hears a word that starts with black and does not immediately think blackface? And I don't know if Gavin did it on purpose.
Well, you know what?
What have you ever been caught with black socks on?
Oh no, he's never been caught in black socks. He's only been caught in blackface multiple times. Oh my! Look at Trudeau's face right there. What did you just say to me, Gavin?
Is that
That would be just too embarrassing.
It would be just too embarrassing to be caught in black socks. I'm going to give everybody this, and, Rebel News picking out the gems. Everything about it is disgusting, horrendous, cringeworthy, and an embarrassment. This guy now, Justin Trudeau, he's going out to, he's flying to California. Got to talk about the climate. And he's like, hey, Gavin, look at my socks. I got funny socks. Oh, look at my hair. I'm a beautiful. The women love my flowing hair. Yeah. Have you ever been caught in black socks? No, it would be too embarrassing. So that's the gem of the day. Here it is, the link to the tweet. It would be too. Have you ever been caught in black socks? It's impossible. Gavin Newsom did not do that on purpose, which leads me to believe that Gavin Newsom is evil. No, I'm joking. So that was the humiliation of the black socks. The memes write themselves from that, but I haven't gotten that far into it to see what memes already exist out there. But Justin Trudeau, Gavin Newsom meeting to talk about the world. They're very big important men, because President Xi Jinping came to California to scope out his new his next backyard, his next playground. I gotta play the video of what Gavin Newsom made San Francisco look like, because when you have communist Chinese dictators coming to your country and you want to impress them, you don't want drug-addicted homeless people pissing and shitting all over the street, as is done to such a degree that you apparently can't walk through the streets of San Francisco without stepping in needles and human waste. I mean, Xi Jinping is going to come down here and say, Gavin, I thought you were communist. And Gavin's going to be like, yes, I am. He's like, well, then why are there homeless people? I'm not supposed to see these. Get them out of here. Gavin Newsom's got to come in and clean up the streets before they get there. And this is what the streets... so the ultimate joke about all of this, the sick, sad, twisted joke, Gavin Newsom, who talked about eradicating homelessness in his 10-year plan 20 years ago. I don't know when that video was from. I think it was close to 20 years ago. Basically shipped out, cleaned up, barricaded the homeless people out of San Francisco, I believe it was, where Xi Jinping is coming to, see who's going to bend over for the cash faster than between him and Trudeau. And this is what the streets of, hold on one second, let me refresh and just see whether it's San Francisco, but I get mistaken between San Francisco or San Diego. And not because of proximity, just because of the name. San Diego is south. It's where my wife has neuroscience conferences every now and again that I once went to. San Francisco is 4 hours north of LA. Okay, this is San Francisco. My good God, what's up with the audio today? Sorry, people. Okay, so I think the music is added over. All right, so there's a joke in there. I believe the music is added over, the dictatorship, communist music of Stalin. But that was the view of San Francisco yesterday or the day before, probably the day before, because I think I missed an entire day of social media consumption yesterday. News consumption, sorry, not social media consumption. Gavin Newsom, in anticipation of communist dictator Xi Jinping coming to San Francisco, California, wants to make it look like he's got a successful, clean state, that he hasn't, screwed everything up, that they don't have a massive homeless epidemic in California, a drug epidemic, an overdose epidemic. Got to make it look like you're a functional dictator, because the only thing worse than a functional dictator is a dysfunctional dictator or a bad dictator. So they clean up the streets, lock out the homeless. The Lord knows where they put them temporarily, but my goodness, if they can put them somewhere temporarily, they can presumably solve that problem just as quickly long term, but some people might think that's not the plan here. It's not part of Agenda 2030. In response to the accusation that Gavin Newsom only made the streets of San Francisco look clean in order to impress the communist dictator that he's cozying up to, basically announcing America's for sale, California's for sale, and if I become president, you can have all of this. All of it could be yours. I mean, Justin Trudeau basically has already done that with Canada. In answering the accusation that he only cleaned up the streets in order to impress Xi Jinping, this is what he said. Let's just make sure the audio's not going to blow our ears out here.
Folks say, oh, they're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders are coming into town. That's true, because it's true. But it's also true for months and months and months prior to APEC, we've been having different conversations. Folks say, oh, they're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders are coming into town. That's true, because it's true.
But it's not a joke. That's true, that accusation, because it's true. I mean, you got Gavin Newsom trying to give Kamala Harris a run for her stupid. Time is an amazing thing. It comes after what came before, and before what comes after. And who knows? Space and time. It's above us, beneath us, in front of us. It's like that episode from The Simpsons. When I was a boy, I'll pull up that clip before we leave. I mean, I've played it a dozen times. Yang and Kodo, dressed up as Bill Clinton and I want to say George Bush running for president, and they say, but when I was a boy, I dreamed of being a baseball. But progress is about going forward, not backwards, upwards, not downwards, and always twirling, twirling, twirling. I mean, it's true because it's true. Thank you, philosophizing Gavin Newsom. Oh, I can clean up the mess to impress you when I want to pretend that there's no mess to impress you. But there's a lot of other... it's atrocious. I remember as an anecdote, I couldn't find the tweet, but I know that I tweeted it. I was out in La Malbaie, which is a beautiful area of Quebec. It's like 5-6 hours east of Montreal. Beautiful on the north side of the St. Lawrence River, the North Shore. And I was out there. It's a world-renowned tourist region. And there was some building, I forget what it was, a government building, and they had the European Union flag, a few European flags, and the flag of China front and center and prominent. And I'm like, look, I'm not xenophobic, and there's no but. I don't really like seeing foreign flags in my country, certainly not flags of communist dictatorships that I don't want to emulate. And I was like, what the hell is this Chinese flag, the flag of China, flying front and center in the middle of the province of Quebec? So I go into the building and I say, I have it on video. It's like, dude, what's, I mean, it's in French. C'est quoi l'affaire avec le drapeau de Chine en dehors là? I don't talk like that in French. I say, mais excusez-moi, pourquoi est-ce qu'il y a un drapeau de Chine à l'extérieur? Why is the flag of China flying outside? And the guy goes, well, it's because we had just had the G5 summit here, so they're part of the G5. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. And I leave, and I go, and I tweet. And then the aggregate knowledge of the interweb says, Viva, the guy lied to you or is an idiot. China's not part of the G5. I was like, well, now I'm pissed. There's a difference between paying tribute, respect, and there's probably a way to do it, versus basically surrendering ideologically your country to adverse foreign interests. I appreciate that what we saw in that video, the Chinese flags on the street were Chinese nationals or Chinese citizens or, Chinese Americans flying their flag and showing their respects to their, the delegate. Can't prevent people from flying their flags in public. What that looked like to me, however, more so was, this can all be yours, Xi Jinping. And I'm a good dictator just for your presence so you don't have to see them. I got out all of them. Oh, Trudeau organized military training in 2019 with Chinese military at base Petawawa, confirmed by the News Ottawa Citizen. Oh, Nedheads, I like reading this because it means you're new to the channel, and I say that respectfully. I've talked about this at length. Not just the news here. Hold on, let me pull it up. But they were I forget who the Minister of Defense was. He says we're not doing it anymore. Canada training Chinese soldiers for wintertime combat on Canadian on Canadian soil. And what did our Minister of what was his name? What was his name? Harjit Sajjan. What did he say? We're not doing it anymore. Well, once we get busted training communist soldiers or the soldiers of communist regimes on our soil for wintertime combat, when is Canada going to become a threat to the United States? I mean, it's sooner than later, unless Biden sells out all of the U.S. to China as well, in which case it's just going to become a satellite of China. Canadian soldiers no longer training Chinese troops, defense minister says. That's nice. Oh, isn't that nice? You're no longer doing it. Defense Minister Harjit Sajjan has confirmed Canadian soldiers are no longer training. Do you know what that means? Like, don't treat me like I'm an idiot. We did it. We did it. We were doing it. And now, as of date unspecified, we're no longer doing it. And I imagine the date as of which you're no longer doing it is the date at which people became aware that you were doing it. Amid scrutiny following a report that senior civil servants opposed the decision last year to stop training activities with the regime. Okay, anyways, that's it. I've covered it many times. Just wanted to bring it up so we can have fun in real time. All right, well, that was it. That's the fun stuff here. Here's the link to the article. My flag has a slashy. Oh, that looks like a Diagolon. Oh, my goodness. Some members of Diagolon supporters sent me some stuff, and I got the big football Diagolon ring, and it says FYMM, F you make me, which, some people, that's fun stuff. Okay, do I have anything more about Gavin Newsom? I don't think so. I think that's it. You've got the sock skate, black. Have you ever been caught in black socks? It's classic. Oh, you know what? We'll do one last very brief update before going over to Rumble so that people who are still on CommuTube can understand the end game of communism. Censorship, manipulation of algorithms, suppression of information, artificial promotion of information. Owen Shroyer, InfoWars guy, was sued, was dropped from the lawsuit, but people still think they hate Owen Shroyer because they imagine he said things that he never actually said, but who the hell has time to verify their beliefs and thought systems in today's day and age? We're all very busy. It's easy. I just want to believe, okay? Don't make me verify what it is that I already believe. It might be wrong, and then I have to spend more time trying to actually learn. Shroyer, we talked about it, covered it. He was on the channel recently talking about how he was going to jail for 60 days for allegedly breaching his agreement that he had since he interrupted a congressional hearing in 2019, where he called, the Democrats basically not Satanists. I believe he used criminals. I forget what he said. He interrupted Herb Nadler while speaking in Congress, was on his way out and then got detained. They went after him hard. He agreed to some terms which he allegedly violated by being present at the Capitol building on January 6, 2021. Chanted 1776, which according to the indictment, or according to the complaint, is violent insurrectionist rhetoric. And so they said, you broke your terms, we're sending you to jail now for 60 days. He gets to jail, they put him in solitary confinement for 1 week because COVID. He gets out, and he puts out a video, or he does a phone call video, which a Twitter handle that is being managed by other people while he's in jail, Owen Shroyer, without a C, Owen Shroyer 1776, posts to Twitter. He obviously rubbed someone the wrong way with the video that he posted about having been in solitary for a week, having gotten out, he's fine, he thanks everyone for their support, it's given him a big heart, all the support that he's gotten. Someone at the BOP, the Bureau of Prisons, didn't like it, threw him back into solitary. No explanation, back into solitary indefinitely, where he might serve his 60 days in solitary. The account that is being managed by other people while he's back into solitary put up an update November 15 from yesterday evening. This is Owen Shroyer, 1776. I'm not signing it, thank you. Does it not let me see the profile unless I sign in? This is what happens when you go incognito. Okay, whatever. It's Owen Shroyer, OwenShroyer, 1776. Insurrectionist talk. Vivek, you better be careful with all that 1776 moment stuff. They'll come after you next. You get too popular, Vivek, they will come after you. Update, Owen will remain in solitary confinement until 11/28. That's November 28th. That's 12 more days. Just throw him in solitary. Lights on. Noise, sleep deprivation, solitary confinement. It's torture. It's an Eighth Amendment violation. It's unconstitutional. It's inhumane. And the world is now realizing how corrupt the judicial system is, the prosecutorial system, the jail, the justice system. And those same idiots, the ones who wanted judicial reform, racism all the time in the judicial system, well, they don't care if it's a white dude going into solitary for damn near a month now because of speech. Because they don't like that speech. Because they're not politically aligned, so abuse him. They don't even listen to the words of Martin Luther King. An injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. No. Racism, judicial reform when it comes to a certain demographic of the American population, to jail for life when it comes to another. And not a racial demographic in this case, a political demographic, as we've seen in Georgia. They don't even care about race. It's all politics. One of the defendants, who happens to be a black man, was one of the only ones who didn't get bail for the Georgia indictment. Bizarre. There might have been other reasons, I'm sure, but nobody's complaining about it. So the funny thing is, it's not racial based. It's ideological, politically motivated tolerance of injustice or intolerance of injustice. 12 days. I have trouble going away from my family for 3 days, even if it's to go to Vegas for the Freedom Fest. I used to have trouble going to camp for a month because I missed my family, I missed my dogs. This man is in prison, and now he's in solitary, I'll say indefinitely, although they put a date on it, to November 28th. That's 12 more days at the earliest. At this time, his normal privileges will be, his normal privileges will be reinstated. It's funny how human rights became privileges under a tyrannical regime. Remember when Justin Trudeau talked about get vaccinated and you can get your privileges back? God-given rights are privileges to tyrants who want to replace God. Write that down. For now, he is only able to communicate via mail. Despite 23 hours a day of lockdown, he remains in good spirits. I'm as mentally strong as ever. Angry. Viva smash. Okay, there's the link to the tweet, so everybody can go share that. Okay, we've given YouTube more time than they deserve. So here are the options right now, people. Here's the link to Rumble. If you want to go over to Rumble, there's 517 people here, which is good. I don't like seeing a lot of people on YouTube anyhow. Come over to Rumble. Or if you want to bypass Rumble and come over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com, where after each stream, we have a Locals community exclusive. I'll announce the winner. I will announce the latest participant in the Locals Convo, as we call them. It'll be our 7th or 8th now, where there are supporting members of our Locals community and just members. So members don't have to pay. You get a ton of stuff. It's an amazing community. There are supporters who choose to support the work that Robert Barnes and I do, that Robert Barnes and me do. No, I do. And what I do, it's turned into something of a tradition now. I put up a post. They say supporters only. Post into it. Oh, geez, did I put the supporters only up the last time? And then we pick one and we have a conversation. It's wonderful. Angry, hold on one second. Angry slows you down and gives you cancer. Frustrated gives you strength and power. Okay, I'll take frustrated then. I'll take frustrated for 800. Who's on first? So, anyways, if you want to, don't come to Rumble, or come to Locals. Rumble owns Locals. Locals is part of Rumble, so it's 6 of one way, half a dozen the other, as we say. Bonds and I. Now, Bonds and me make good content. So, anyways, okay, that's it. So come on over there. We're gonna end on